Here she is, Miss Popularity. It's Ozark Nana's CookShack on TV. She got barbecues, awesome stews, desserts all the day. Just stay tuned, now don't you go away. Here's Ozark Nana's recipe today.
Today we're going to honor our Native American ancestors.
Okay.
Around this part of the country, the Native Americans were called Ozark Indians.
Oh.
That means bend in the river.
Bend in the
And their settlement was down along the river and
What river? White River. We're on the White.
Yeah, the White River.
We're on the Bee Creek branch of the
Yeah,
White
the
River.
Yeah. And it does bend. And they were called the Ozarks. What they did back in, the explorers found them in 1740, but the Native Americans had been doing it for generations, making their own leavening agent out of wood ash.
Wow.
And they would take the wood ash, filter it through spring water into a pan, and then reboil it so that the ash was concentrated again, and then let the water dissolve. And when it was done, had a powdery substance, and they called it wood ash.
Wow.
They only used the bark of the main part of the tree, not branches, so that it would stay clear and not get dark.
What tree? Did it matter?
Hardwood trees.
Heart oak.
Had to be a hardwood tree. It was a long process, but they could get enough of it together to last for a year or however long they wanted to do it. They used that to make as a leavening agent for making bread. They started getting commodities from the government. Their milk wasn't very good. And so they learned how to use soured milk, which is, we've told you before, you take your milk, put a tablespoon of vinegar in it, and it curdles the milk. And that way they could go ahead and use it and not lose any of it. This bread is very, very simple. It's only got 4 ingredients. You have flour, half a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of, we use baking soda now rather than wood ash.
So you mean to tell me that story you just told me produced baking soda?
Produced baking soda.
That's where it came from.
They showed the explorers about it. The explorers took it back to Europe, and when baking soda was discovered, they found out it had the same consistency and the same scientific elements of wood, of the pot ash, and it became potassium carbonate.
Now, you know God got involved there somehow.
Of course, somebody, yeah.
You can't tell me God doesn't get involved.
Right.
And I kind of purpose in my mind when I read history, and whenever I see and suddenly or out of nowhere or interesting facts like this, that to me is like God did something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one wants to
know how to put it together that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and nobody wants to give him credit.
That's right.
But I sure do, don't you?
Well, they call it the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit.
The Great Spirit
Told them everything. And they said, if you listen, the Great Spirit will talk to you through the trees, through the plants, through the animals, through anything. You have to stop and listen.
George Washington Carver learned that, didn't he?
That's right. That's right.
Look what all he did with that peanut.
Yeah, how much you could do with the peanut.
Yeah.
He took that peanut apart, and he was so impressed because he's listening to God, and he said to God, when he saw the things that God could do with that peanut, he said, "Can you make milk out of that peanut?" You know what God answered him? He said, "Do you want boarding house milk or do you want Jersey milk?"
Yeah.
Now, any of you that stayed at a boarding house back in the day that Carver lived, you knew that wasn't very good milk.
No.
Probably better milk than we drink, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. So he got Jersey milk.
Yep.
So God got involved here with somebody decided to seek God,
Yep.
and he told them how to do something. And that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay, we've got our flour, our salt, our baking soda. We use the God-given
Tools.
stir together. Make sure it's all, the salt and the baking soda is all stirred together. Then you make a little well in the middle.
Okay.
Put your milk in.
That you added vinegar to.
Yep.
Right.
And then you just start folding it together.
I think Elaine did something on where she made buttermilk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's basically what that is,
Yeah.
soured milk.
Yep.
The modern recipe for this bread calls for buttermilk, but you can do the other way
Sure.
too. And you just incorporate it all together. When it starts it'll be a bit sticky.
And that's the way you want it.
You want it that way. I put a little bit of extra flour in if it's too sticky, and it depends on the air and the temperature and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Now, we like to cook in our cast iron stuff.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
she's going to cook this in a cast iron
Oh, great.
pot.
And after it gets all incorporated and gets it into a kind of a ball, put it in your pan.
Is that pan
You
heated?
don't have to worry about it being smooth
Nope.
or
No.
Not heated.
it, just however it lands in that pan's how it lands.
How it
And
lands.
you push it down to where it's about 1.5 inches thick. Could you get me a knife? Forgot my knife.
And if you guys ever go to an old flea market or estate sale, look for these old cast iron cookware. You'll be glad you got it if you did.
Okay, you take your knife and you put a cross in it.
Okay.
You cut about down 1/2 inch.
What does that do?
Well, it just makes it cook more evenly, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. The recipe said put a cross in it.
If you don't, it'll probably blow up like a balloon.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that has to do with that.
And then you just put it in your oven. Let it cook at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or until it's golden
brown.
on the top, and you can lift it up and hit the bottom and it'll thunk, make a thunking sound.
And you'll know it's done on the inside.
And it's done on the inside.
Wow. Okay.
And I have a little piece here for you to taste.
Hi, everybody. We just finished making the Indian soda bread, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about a special guest here on the mountain. You know, we told you the story about how the soda bread was originally made by the natives here in the United States. But do you know how the Indians got their name? Christopher Columbus thought he was in India, and so he named the first people he saw Indians. But it wasn't so. But anyway, today we have a guest from India who's a ministry that we work with as an outreach, and I want you to meet this special guest today.
I am Dr. Benjamin Gnanadurai from Madras, India, where Apostle Thomas, the real disciple of Jesus, spent his ministry in Madras, and he became a martyr for Indians. So I live close to the graveyard of Apostle Thomas. If we feel the call to evangelize India, God used me to travel all over India to evangelize the country in different language groups, and planted churches in many parts of India by the grace of God. And established schools, orphanages, something in addition to that. The call of God in my life is very important because I saw Jesus in my life many times through visions. I had many visitation of angels in my early days asking me to serve the Lord. I was teaching in the university, one of the colleges of Madras University. So the Lord appeared to me and called me to the ministry. So I was preaching in many villages and towns. In one village, some of my co-workers saw a girl dead in the hospital. They brought the dead body to the prayer meetings. I was not there at that time. All my co-workers, about 50, 60 of them, gathered together and prayed over the dead body. After 4 or 5 hours prayer, she came to life.
Wow.
So it was a real declared miracle in that area, and we were able to establish 84 churches in around the villages of that miracle area. So we praise God for the miracle. Another one, a Hindu man who became a Christian through my ministry, and they were very poor. I helped them to start a business of selling vegetables. His wife was having a vegetable shop. Suddenly he was sick and admitted in the hospital. And after some time he died in Rayapeta Madras Hospital. They brought him along with the Bible school students. We prayed more than 1 hour. We really cried before God because all of them are Hindu converts. So I prayed so much. I saw the book Expect a Miracle Every Day, written by Oral Roberts. On that day I studied that book. That book motivated me. It elevated my faith to higher realm. Because of that faith that I developed from Oral Roberts' book, and I laid hands on his dead body, and after some time later he came to life, and the relatives were waiting for his dead body to come, whereas I told the man to walk to the house 1 mile away from the church. So the Lord was good to us. That's why we were able to establish a lot of churches. There is a man by name Tim Snyder, Healing Rivers. He used to come and preach in our conferences many times, and he financially helped us to conduct the conference. So that also strengthened the ministry and expanded the ministry in a large level by the grace of God.
Amen.
A man from Branson area, he came.
Oh, wow.
Many years ago, I attended Bill Brim's meeting in Branson. Kenneth Copeland came and preached there. I was so blessed by the meetings that Bill Brim arranged the meeting. I met them. I watched Bill Brim in Kenneth Copeland television program.
Right.
She has outstanding knowledge about the Hebrew language and Hebrew interpretations. So I was really loving her teaching very much. That is one of the reason I came here today. To my understanding, Billy Brim is, I was a professor of education. She's highly brilliant, good memory. She has well versed in the scriptures. She's a dynamic personality.
He's staying for a month.
Oh, good.
And he arrived last week. So, Benjamin, you want to come next week?
Oh, good.
I promise to have a good meal.
I'm sure she does. Oh, boy.
Now, that bread, I don't know if you got any of that bread, but that is a home bread that was made from the Native Americans before there was baking soda. They actually heard from God on how to get that from bark on the
I
tree.
enjoyed it very much.
Oh, bark of the tree.
Yeah.
Really?
I heard,
Wow.
I heard her calling it Irish soda bread.
It shouldn't have been called that.
The Native Americans showed the explorers how to build it.
Oh.
And then they took it back to Europe,
Ireland.
and they made it famous.
How about that?
But the Native Americans started it.
Interesting.
Oh, yes, she is.
That's amazing. That's amazing.